Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of a man this time. As you know, the Her Story Circle is not about exclusion. We have 25% of my guests are male. And when I got this gentleman, I was really inspired by Ryan Wilson. He's the inspiring founder of Team Trust Productions, a purpose-driven video production company that amplifies the voices of nonprofits. He's based in Colorado Springs, and he is a talented filmmaker. So Ryan, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and give us your backstory so we get to know you a little bit more.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Gertrude. I appreciate it. My name is Ryan Wilson, and yes, I run Team Trust Productions. I'm in Colorado in the U.S., in Colorado Springs, and I'm glad we could touch base, and I appreciate your time. Now, you're asking about my backstory, and my backstory is probably a little bit different than what your listeners are used to and what you are used to. So, of course, I'm in Colorado right now, but I grew up in a small town of 4,000 people. So I have a disability. I use a power wheelchair, and it seemed as if I was the only person in town, even the state really, who used a wheelchair. And so as a result, my perception of disability and what I could do was really altered. I really didn't think I had the potential of doing anything because I never saw anybody who looked like me living the dreams I had. So I kind of, lived out my high school life just like that. And then I went to college. I went to the University of Illinois, and they have a wheelchair racing program. So a lot of people might think of wheelchair racing and they might think, well, Ryan, you're in a power chair. Are you racing your power chair? And the answer is no. In wheelchair racing, they don't race in power chairs. If you race in a power chair, that's called cheating and you'll lose anyways. You won't be fast enough. So in wheelchair racing, they can do marathons, 26.2 miles, or they can do shorter distances, 100 meters, 200 meter, 400, and so on. And so these wheelchair racers, of course, had huge muscles and shoulders, but they also had huge hearts. And I really didn't know who they were until they let me into their world. So I kind of found excuses per se to interact with these athletes, to do projects on them, do homework on them, to learn more about who they are and how exactly they are able to be featured on television, on NBC, and win all these gold medals with a disability. I didn't really understand that. So I would ask them all sorts of questions about their lives, their challenges, and what they're doing to make it all pay off, literally, and of course, professionally, athletically. And so these athletes were phenomenal people, and they let me go to their practices, their early morning practices, several hours a week. They let me go into their homes, and they even let me into their families. And when I saw their families, their life outside of sports, then I think my life was changed. Because I realized there was really no limitation of what I could do. The only limitations I have are the ones that I put on myself. So, of course, I'm in a power chair, but that really means nothing in terms of how I pursue my goals. So it really opened my eyes to possibilities. And from that point, from the point of meeting these athletes and really connecting with them, I really set out to kind of give back to the people who changed my life, with hopefully changing their lives. Because, I think a lot of times we can get so wrapped up in work and what we have to do and the money we have to make, but we never think about, or at least we lose track of, how important the relationships are. The relationships I have, present tense, with these athletes is incredible. And so, if I can find ways to make similar relationships or connections with other people, then that could be transformational. And so, I was in Illinois when I met the wheelchair racers, and then I came out to Colorado. I'm still around the wheelchair racers, but now I guess I'm kind of in the next phase of what I'm meant to do. So anymore, yes, I'm connecting with the athletes, but as Gertrude mentioned, I'm connecting with nonprofits. And so with Team Trust Productions, our focus is on helping these nonprofits not only survive, but thrive. So a lot of times they're so roped up in, just barely getting by, getting those donations, getting those grants, hopefully if they come in, or just trying to make a few bucks so they can make a difference. And so with Team Trust Productions, we're creating videos, we're creating social media content to really elevate their message and elevate their impact. And that to me is what it's all about. It's not about, creating a video, it's about creating a connection and making a relationship. And so if the nonprofits can do that with their community, they can really see sustainable growth financially and, of course, in many other facets. And so that's what we do. You asked earlier, Gertrude, about any fur babies for me, and the answer is no. It's just me right now. So I used to have a dog named Lassie. She was a miniature collie. Boy, was she loud. But she's no longer around, and it's just me. Family is still in Illinois. So now we're rocking the world over here.
Oh, wonderful. Ryan, thank you so much. What an inspiring story.
Hmm.
Now, how has living with a disability shaped your approach to storytelling?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times the disability gives me a unique perspective. So I think in many cases, storytellers can be focused on connecting the dots. So trying to get in the important elements of the call to action, donate now, give us money now. But for me, I think the emphasis is on storytelling and on empathy. So if we can kind of focus on the emotional aspect, then that can really elevate a message. And I think with my disability, it really allows me to connect with a diverse audience in new ways.
That's fantastic. Now, can you describe a video project that deeply moved you or changed your perspective and your whole approach to what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I think there have been quite a few, but a notable one was when I first started Team Trust Productions. We went up in the mountains in Colorado and we filmed some blind skiers.
Oh,
So these skiers go down the mountains at 60 miles per hour, and they have a guide in front of them. They're not tethered together, they just communicate via Bluetooth headsets. And so the guide is telling them to go left, go right, watch out for this icy patch, watch out for the rocks. So to see that firsthand was incredible and really a fine example of trust. And ever since then, I've kind of been focused on tapping into that emotional element of each story.
that is amazing. So, what do you wish more people understood about working with a disability?
Interesting. Well, I don't know. I think there are pretty low expectations of disabled people. They don't really see the potential in us. They don't really think we can live independently or work. And so, if we can kind of challenge that belief and instead have this idea that disabled people, sure, they might be in a chair, they might be blind, but they can do anything, and they might even do it better than you. Who knows? But they're really, unlimited. They can do anything they want.
So, how do you bring empathy into your video production process?
Yeah. So with empathy, it has to do with the relationship. So of course, when we're telling a story, let's say we do a sit-down interview with somebody like this, I'm not going to jump into hard questions. I want to build a relationship first, build some chemistry so that the person I'm interviewing knows exactly where I'm coming from and my intentions. And once we're kind of on the same page, once we have kind of the same wavelength going on, then we're honed in on who are you and tell me about you. Tell me about you and what don't people know? I mean, I of course look at resumes. That's great, but that tells me nothing. So I'm looking at what drives the person. What feelings do they have? And who are they when nobody's paying attention? So I'm asking
Mm.
all sorts of questions. Sometimes kind of have to back off a little bit. I get a little too curious. But I'm always down for learning who people really are.
So, let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit. What are the biggest challenges and advantages that you've experienced as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Oh, there's a pretty long list. I think when you're starting something from the ground up, you have to be very careful because there are all sorts of gurus or people out there telling you to do this and telling you to do that, but you can't do everything at once. Really, if you're starting from nothing, you've got to find a way to take that next step forward. And that next step forward might be reaching out to somebody. Like I reached out to you. It could be making phone calls, sending emails, connecting with people on social media, or doing whatever it takes to expand your network. Client acquisition is really tough for a lot of people, and it can also be very expensive depending on what type of business you have. And so, if you can just kind of hone in on the relationships, hone in on who you know and what you know, then it can be a lot easier than going from absolutely nothing.
It's very, very true. Relationships are everything. So, how do you decide which stories to tell and how to tell them?
Oh, so there are all sorts of factors here. So I think when it comes down to what stories we tell, we try to find stories that are related to the end goal, the purpose of the video. So
Mhm.
let's say we're creating a fundraising video. We want to create an opportunity for people to feel connected to a nonprofit. So we're going to look at testimonials. We're going to look at people who have benefited personally from this organization. And when we're doing a video like that, of course, we want to touch on key things of what has this nonprofit done for you, what does it mean to you, and how can this nonprofit change lives like yours. So we're trying to
Mm,
touch on key things, key aspects of the stories related to the end goals.
I like that. It's like getting the evangelists of the nonprofit to speak on their behalf.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
really beautiful.
Hmm.
So, what advice would you give someone who's starting a purpose driven creative business?
Don't give up.
Mm,
It's going to be really hard. You'll find a long list of reasons as to why you should quit, as to why you should stop. Money might be going away, might be disappearing quicker than you anticipated. People might be rejecting you uh, quicker than you anticipated. But if you give up, then you'll never reach your dream. You'll never reach your goal. So you just have to keep learning from what you're hearing. If a bunch of people tell you no, then why are they telling you no?
mhm.
Alter what you're offering, alter your story, your concept to find ways to make it funded, to get money, and to generate interest. So it's not easy, but it's 100% worth it. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
I love it. Now, how has your disability helped you become a better leader? Let's talk about leadership a bit.
Sure, I think it comes down to empathy again.
Mhm.
So a lot of leaders of companies, don't know what it's like to connect, to relate with a person with a disability. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to, say, break 60 bones like I have. And a lot of people don't know what it's like to live in a wheelchair. So for me, I have, I guess, this lived experience of been through a few things, and so I feel comfortable talking with people about challenges, whether they have a disability or not. So it just, I guess, opens my heart to people and to struggles. There are a lot of disabled people out there who are in bad shape, and so if I can be the person, the resource who changes that, who makes somebody's day, then it's all worth it.
Wow. Now, what legacy do you want to leave in the digital storytelling industry?
Well, that's quite the question. Wasn't ready for this one. At the end of the day, like I said, it comes down to impact
Mm,
and making a difference. So, in terms of storytelling, the powerful stories are the ones that generate emotions and feelings. And so, if I can create opportunities, stories that build such a relationship or a connection, then that can last for a long, long time. 'Cause we're not all here forever, unfortunately. But if I can create outlets, tools that last for generations, then that's all good. Yeah,
job will have been done.
yeah.
Now, talking of impact, how do you measure success? Not just in business, but in impact.
Whoa. Sorry. Let's see. You know, impact is quite the word. There's a lot going on there. So you heard the message come in. That's from a friend I had in college. And so impact to me is impacting lives. So, of course, it's great to make a lot of money, but if I can connect with people on a personal level every day, if I can add value every day, then that's something I'm focused on. So it is hard to measure that,
Yeah,
but it's more of a felt experience. So if this person really opens up to me, they tell me personal stories. They start to relate to me in unique ways. Then that's a win.
that's beautiful. What is a misconception about people with disabilities that you would like to challenge?
A misconception about disability. Well, I'll ask your audience, your listeners, when you think of somebody with a disability, what are your expectations of them? Do you expect them to suffer? Do you expect them to live in misery all the time? Or do you expect them to live meaningful lives and to work and succeed? And so for me, I think I'm always trying to kind of redefine the understanding of disability. And so the general population has very low standards for what we can do. They do think we're suffering all the time, and they do think that we're miserable people. Um, and maybe some are, but that doesn't mean we're always living like that. You know, we
Mhm.
have jobs, we make money, we laugh, we love, and we do all sorts of fun things. When I was in college, college aged people in their early 20s do a lot of fun things. I've never seen so many wheelchair users do so many fun things out
Okay.
late at night. So we can do about anything you want. It just looks a little bit different.
Yeah. Now, my next questions are a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about your childhood.
Mm.
What were your parents like? Who were the people who were around you who empowered you to be who you are? I must say, you must have had a very strong support system, or you must have had a very feisty character as a child to be who you are now. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I was a little feisty as a kid, still kind of am. Thank you for the question. I'm open for anything. So yeah, I grew up in a small town of 4,000 people. So had mom and dad around and an older brother. My brother is 2 years older. So I think for my parents, it was challenging to have a child with a disability. They hadn't really been around disability all that much. And then I came along and I was born with 10 broken bones or so. Pretty fun. But we just kind of adapted as we learned and as we figured it out. So, yes, I was a bit feisty as a kid because, like I said, I didn't really understand disability. So I was seeing my brother do certain things and my friends do certain things, and I was led to believe I couldn't do that stuff. I couldn't succeed. I couldn't, ace my classes like my brother did. I guess partially because of my disability. So there was some anger there. Why do I have this thing? Why do I keep breaking bones? Why do I look different? Um, but I did meet people in college. I had a journalism professor who um, he changed everything academically from a professional standpoint. And then I met the wheelchair racers, and they're cool people. So,
It's interesting how sometimes one person comes into your life and changes everything, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, I became a writer because I had a teacher who came to Africa when I was 14, 15, and he made us go outside and lie under a tree, and he read Wilfred Owen's First World War poetry.
Wow.
And we had to close our eyes as he was reading, and it felt like he was painting pictures with words. And that's where my passion for literature and writing, it's just one person who can make a difference.
Yeah.
So, next question is a time experiment. I'm going to teleport you into the past.
Okay.
And I'm going to take you to the younger you, that little boy who was frustrated, who
Hmm.
was breaking bones, had to stay home, couldn't do what his brother was doing. Just in case there is someone with a disability or who has a disabled child who's listening in right now, if you could go back and give that little boy three nuggets of wisdom, or give his parents three nuggets of wisdom, so I'll allow you to say six things, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be based on what life has taught you up until this point?
Yeah. I really like your questions. So yes, if I was to go back in time and talk to my younger self, my younger Ryan, who was frustrated because he had a disability, who didn't quite understand it, I would tell him that things are challenging. It's not always fun to break bones, but your disability is your greatest gift. A lot of people don't understand that, and they will never understand that. But as long as you know that your diagnosis of brittle bones is a strong gift, it gives you a strong purpose. You know, it all goes away. It's not bad that you have a disability. It's a good thing. And I think another thing is that just relax. I was as a boy, I had a lot of anger. Still probably do, but I would tell myself to relax. You can't change the fact that you have a disability, but you can change how you look at it. And going back to the first point, if you look at your disability as a gift, um, then it allows you to see more possibilities. It's not all about what I don't have. It's about what can I do with what I have and what I've been given. Um, and then the third little nugget I would give myself is that there are a lot of people out there who really care about you. Um, I think with disability, it's hard to grasp this concept of people really appreciating who you are as a human being. And it's hard for them to kind of value you the way you want to be valued. So there are people out there, I promise, who care about you, who love you, and who understand. So there will be challenges, and there will be some people you don't want to talk with, but there are even more people who want to talk with you, who want to listen to you, and who want to value you.
Absolutely beautiful, Ryan. Thank you for that. Last question is futuristic this time. So we're still on this time continuum.
Okay?
I'm going to teleport you into the future, and we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you.
Whoa. Okay.
And now you're in your rocking chair, or maybe you're on the dance floor doing your thing. I can see with your feisty nature, you probably will be dancing. If I could take you into the future to meet the older you, this wise man who has led you up until this point, what will you say to him when you finally meet him? Now, I like asking people this question because a lot of times we don't realize that the wise man or the wise woman is already in us, that he's that quiet voice that says, go left, go right, say yes, say no. Those little promptings that come from your inner being.
Hmm.
What will you say to your wise man when you finally meet him at the age of 90?
Yeah, so when I meet my 90-year-old self, um, I will say thank you. Um, I sure lived through a lot of challenges. I had a lot of big goals, but I will say thank you for everything you've given me. Every single challenge you put me through was worth it. Every single person I interacted with, Gertrude included, made it all worth it. And every single project that I did, big or small, made it all worth it. And so, thank you for the resilience, the commitment, the perseverance, and the passion. Not everybody has those four qualities, but you gave them to me. And you took me through different experiences to allow me to learn all those lessons firsthand. So the journey was fun, and I hope at 90 years old, I can finally grow a full beard. Still undecided about that one, but um, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Ryan, thank you so much. That last question, I play with the energy of who I am becoming sometimes. When I get stuck, I have a challenge, I don't know what the next thing is. I have always known my wise woman is in me. She has guided me like you through many, many challenges in life. And I go to sleep sometimes with a question in my head, a question as simple as, so what is the next step?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I sleep on that. And then I'm in the shower the next morning and I get this light bulb moment and I know exactly what my next move should be. Or I talk to other people about what I'm working on, and one person will say one thing, the next person will say something. And by the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, it's like a jigsaw puzzle and it all kind of comes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for listening to your promptings. Thank you for being a digital storyteller,
Yeah. Thank you.
amplifying the voices of nonprofits that are making a difference in people's lives.
Hmm.
Thank you for your work and thanks for responding to becoming a guest on our show today.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time and the questions. This has been very insightful.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of people from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Ryan, thanks again for the interview. Don't go away. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.